I, Rancy Boke, do solemnly promise that the testimony that I've come to give to the TRC of Liberia is the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Please be seated. Good afternoon, Mr. Witness.
Good afternoon, sir.
We want to welcome you to this public event and tell you thanks for taking off your busy time to come and share your experience with the TRC. For us, this is a forum where we share our experiences in order to learn from the past, and so that we can use that lessons learned, that knowledge gained, as a way of finding solution to the problems that confront our country and that led to the conflict in the first place. So everybody who comes is contributing to the peace and reconciliation process in Liberia. And we are happy that you have come to be part of that process.
Thank you.
Okay, I will introduce the commissioners. At the extreme end of the panel on my right is Commissioner Sheikh Kafuma Kone. Next to him is Umu Sila. Next to her is Sherabi Coleman. And next to him is Gedeh Dolope. And on my left here is John Stewart. I am Jerome Fredier. So welcome.
Thank you.
Can you kindly restate your name?
My name is Rancy Boke.
You live in Zwedru?
No, it's Letan, please.
Letan. Can you kindly tell us the year you were born?
The year was what? Born? Oh,
yeah.
1963. 15 September.
Okay, and then think you can see of yourself what you do currently, work, social?
Well, right now I'm the chairman of the board of directors, Manu Farmers Cooperative Society that controls the palm plantation in Slaytown, as well as the rice pallet field that covers about 1,200 acres.
Okay, thank you very much. You may proceed with your testimony now.
All right, thank you very much. The testimony, let me start from 1985. Before the elections of 1985, we were given the opportunity to organize political parties, multi-party system. And then one of our elders, one of the eminent citizens of Gedeh, was able to take a stand, to take different route. I mean, different route means that not NDP, but Liberia Action Party. Later on, he became, in fact, the first campaign manager of that party from mine area, a first cousin of mine, Peter A. Johnson. Taking the decision of joining the Liberian Action Party was an offense to the people, those that were in power at the time, especially Samuel Doe's group. And then there was humiliation against his family, the family and himself. It was during the abortive coup of 1985, led by Thomas Kwinwangbat. He was arrested, and hundreds of those soldiers moved in our area, brutally handled our people. In fact, some of our parents fled in exile in Ivory Coast, where some of them died. While in the process, immediately after the abortive coup, Samuel Doe returned to Gedeh, and then he called for a kind of a meeting, pardon me, at which time a first cousin of myself, Mr. Washington Wallow, a patrolman at the time, was asked to, he was assigned in Tuzon. He was asked to stay on duty that night. But it was not the night he's supposed to serve duty. But the motive behind was that the one-time Minister of Lands, Mines and Energy, the first Minister of Lands, Mines and Energy of PRC, during the abortive coup, he was brutally handled too, and then after about a month, he died. So according to them, the people from Tuzon, they say it was customary that whoever they call themselves, I don't know, great man, dies, he's supposed to carry somebody with him, but he should be alive. And then they buried this patrolman beneath the coffin of Mr. William Tolbert. Well, this thing caused problem. We try to see as to whether we can get the information straight, but the then president, late Samuel Doe, promised that he was going to pursue the case. Up to that time, he did not until his assassination in 1990. The people of Tuzon holds a big apology to our people of Bao, which they have never met. And so we have serious problem with them. Until they can come to apologize, whatever happened at the time, we'll never forgive them. We hope they will come and tell us exactly what happened, what transpired. And we hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Also, we appreciate you coming to share this experience with us. Apart from the TRC looking into past atrocities and the crimes that were committed during the war, the TRC is also interested in investigating sources of potential conflict in the future, so that once a proper intervention is made and those conflicts are resolved, our county, our districts can all be peaceful, and then we can be assured that we are on the path to lasting peace. So I want to thank you for this information, for elaborating that the people of Town are today not in peace with the people of Tuzon because of what happened, and I'm confident by you coming, it means that your people want a way out of this. They want this situation to be resolved. So I want to tell you thank you. At this time, commissioners will ask you a couple of questions.
Welcome.
Can you kindly repeat the name of the police officer who was intentionally put on duty down there?
Patrolman Washington Wallow.
Washington Wallow. He's a citizen of Zeta.
It's Port Town. I mean, in the community, in the same community vicinity.
From the same quarter?
Yes, just about a kilometer away from each.
Okay, and even though you didn't state, but from your narration, it was after the failed Kungwa's military coup.
Yes.
And we assume that incident happened in 1985.
85.
Okay. I will stop there. Commissioners will ask questions. Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Bokeh, for bringing this to our attention and coming to the TRC. Can you remember the month in which this happened, this incident you talked about?
December, January of 1985, 86. Because usually he's on vacation at that time. He always on vacation about that time. In Samuel Doe then.
December when?
85, December and January 86.
December, January 86. 85, yes. December to January 86.
Yes.
The 85 was after the November.
Yeah, the abortive coup occurred on 12 November. Yes.
And who was the officer in charge on the night patrolman Wallow was on duty at Tuzon?
Well, really, we were not dealing in the security apparatus of the government at the time. We were not really, but we believe that he was on duty when you were asked to serve, though you were supposed to be relieved that evening, and they asked him to serve, and he served. But the next morning he disappeared. Only to know that he was buried together with the late William P. Nemo.
Do you remember the spot where this may have taken place?
It was a crime at the time to do, if you did. To ask where you buried this man and what have you. Especially so military government turning to civilian rule, you know.
But can you state or clarify a bit why he was picked out?
Well, I mean, I believe they got political motive, something like that, because you know that Peter Johnson from the same area, it was opposition to NDPL Action Party campaign manager. He himself was in prison at the time anyway. And his party was the main, rival to that of NDP at the time. And he from our area, people consider politics at the time to be a warfare anyway. And so I believe that's where the whole thing started from.
So did this police officer have any blood relationship to the late Ambassador Peter Johnson?
Yes. I'm talking about cousins, first cousins.
I see. And since that happened, did any of the family members try to bring this up with the government?
Which government then? Samuel Doe?
Yes. Or subsequent interim administrations and that of the last President Taylor?
No, I mean, during Taylor's regime, for some of us who were here, we were not here, we were in exile. But for Samuel Doe, who could question at the time, you will go to Samuel Doe and say, oh, so president, I want you to get inquiry and what have you. Especially so when we ourselves are accusing him that he knew about what happened.
But how were you certain that this was what happened? That he was buried alive with this man?
We got some of our boys who were working with Samuel Doe at the executive mansion. Some of them were serving guards.
And was the late William Nebo from Tuzon?
Yes, William Nebo from Tuzon. If I'm not mistaken, they are very short distance cousins of Samuel Doe.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Fine.
Do you know some of the people who were involved in the torturing of your people?
Well, we didn't really picture, but we know for sure that most of the plans of Samuel Doe were implemented, by his confidants. I don't know how to call them, political confidants or presidential confidants like Edward Slanger, Gedeh, all the other guys. But we didn't see it anyway. But we know whatever plan that Samuel Doe implemented at the time, you will have consultation with these people. Yes.
So he only consulted them, but they did not do it.
Whether they consulted them, whether he did, I don't know. But what I'm saying is that, for some of those, some of us analyze the Samuel Doe regime to be more tyrannical than any other rule in Liberia, as far as I'm concerned. So, I mean, most of the things that he did, he has some presidential confidants that he trusted, he was doing business with. So he never did anything else when he was consulted. But we didn't see him consulting them to say, yeah, carry this act on. But we knew it for sure that they were very, very close to Samuel Doe at the time.
So were they in a town there were you when the incident occurred?
Which town are you talking about, madam?
When they torture your people?
Well, the only people who picture were people like, the late Thomas Banga, leading his troops on the other side to invade Port Town that evening, when the invasion took place. And then they arrested Peter Johnson in Monrovia. They decided to chase the families on the ground. I think that was the only man we really recognized, but there were mandates that came from up, I believe so. I mean, Thomas Banga, and as illiterate as he was, never really had the bravery to go, just move in somebody's home to go. Maybe he was guided by a certain presidential immunity, something like that.
So did anybody die in that?
No, instantly, no, nobody died. But after the torture, the Gedeh, the uncle of Peter Johnson, a few months later on, he died.
He was the only one who died?
Oh, two of them, Gedeh, Sipa, from the other near place there.
Okay, thank you.
Fine, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Boake, for your testimony. Just clarification again, please. I will ask a couple of questions also. First of all, I'm trying to understand that you're telling us that during the time of the 1985, where there was an election, and between NDPL and the LAP,
yeah,
that there was an incident where one Mr. Peter Johnson, who was a campaign manager for the LAP, and at the same time a Crown person,
yes,
okay, who was here carrying out the campaign for LAP representatives, had a situation where he was attacked by representatives of the NDPL, or particularly you're saying the former President Doe's bodyguards. I'm just getting clarity, is that correct?
No, I think you were going off track a little bit. What I was saying, Peter Johnson himself did not come to Grand Gedeh to canvass.
Okay.
But his people that were on the ground
Okay.
were considered to be members of the Liberia Action Party, thinking that since indeed Peter Johnson was a campaign manager of LAB. You know, as I said right now, at the time politics was a warfare.
I understand.
That's all. I think that you're getting across to you right now.
So these people were attacked in a sense.
Yes.
Okay. And they were attacked by whom, particularly?
By the henchmen of Samuel Doe.
Okay. Names that you mentioned one Edward and Slanger?
No, listen.
Slanger.
The people that went at the home of the uncle of Peter Johnson was not Slanger, but the late, Banga.
Bangala.
Troops, yeah.
Banga?
These were secret security officers.
Was it SSS?
Police, secret police.
Secret
operatives.
security.
I don't know how you call them.
And they went to these old men's houses.
Yes.
Okay. Any other person you know?
Pardon?
Only Bangala?
Thomas Banga.
Thomas Bangala?
Banga.
Thomas Banga. Okay. Okay. Then what was the situation you were giving us with regards to Mr. Slanger, please? Mr. Slanger.
Well, I was trying to make a point through that these were confidants of Samuel Doe. Every decision Samuel Doe took at the time, they were very close to him. So I have every reason to reckon, because after the incidents, nobody came from that end to apologize up to this time. You see? And they were very close to him. Very, very close to Samuel Doe at the time.
So you just suspect that he may have been involved, but you're not sure.
They were part of that whole thing I'm talking about right now.
And there was another name too you mentioned, one Arthur something?
Pardon?
Arthur something? Was there another name?
I said
only that, okay.
Maybe Slanger and Glay.
Glay.
One-time representative here.
All right.
He's in exile right now.
Okay, then the other incident I'm trying to understand is the one which was more delicate between the Tuzon group and the Zest town. You were trying to explain to us that there was an incident where one Mr. William Nebo may have been involved in a situation where he died. How did he die? And why was there a need for somebody else to be buried with him? I'm trying to understand that. First of all, how did Mr. Nebo die? And who was Mr. Nebo?
Mr. As I said right now, Mr. Nebo was a little distant cousin of Samuel Doe.
Okay.
But my concern was not how he died. Not my concern.
Okay.
But I'm saying that when he died, there was a customary built the way they taught now, because in Grand Gedeh we don't do that anyway.
Okay.
But maybe because of some other mysteries and what have you, they said that he should be able to. He should be buried with somebody alive.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's when you suspect, or it is known in the town, that one patrolman, Washington Wallow, was actually used as the sacrifice to be buried with this man.
Yes. Grand Gedeh should know about it. Everybody here is supposed to know.
And that incident took place January of 85, 86.
Yes, immediately after the abortive coup, when he came after the abortive coup, then William Nebo died, and William Nebo was brought home, during our vacation. So, there were the incidents.
Yeah, so that's why I was just trying to understand who this Nebo was, just to get a historical understanding.
As I say right now, Nebo was a distant cousin of Samuel Doe. But one time,
did he have political position? Did he have a political or country position?
He was the first minister, when Samuel Doe talked about the first minister of lands, mines, and energy.
That's what I want to understand. So the minister of lands, mines, and energy. Okay, and his death was a natural death here?
Pardon?
Or was his death here a natural death of some sort? Or was there anything occurred to it?
I never wanted to know whether it was natural death or
So you don't know that particular way. You just know he died. Okay, thank you. All right. Besides this particular incident, did you have any other experience that you would like to share with us with regard to 94, the time of LPC? When MPFL, LPC?
Well, when LPC...
Or model time.
LPC and what?
MPFL, meaning of 94, 95, like that? When they invaded.
Well, if I had an experience personally, it would be, but, the only experience that really went down to me was the one I just explained to you.
Okay. Yeah. So the others were not something as so critical?
For me, I didn't really consider that much anyway.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience. Now, Washington Wallow, did he leave any family behind, children?
Yeah, children. His daughter, I believe, in Monrovia right now. Some other children all scattered around here, languaging. Nobody to cater to them.
So how have life been like for them since your father died?
Come here again, please.
How have life been like for them since you lost your father at that
I
time?
think it's been difficult, for sure. They were small, they were not big. I think the older child was about 14, 15 a girl at the time, 15, something like that.
Thank you for sharing your experience.
Thank you.
Mine is not a question, but it's an admonition to the family of the late President Samuel Kanyon Doe and the people of Tuzon. It is said in African parable that a complainer is not a troublemaker. Person who complains of being wrong has the desire that the wrong be looked into and a solution is found. People realizing that people have different perception of understanding situation, it is important that we make this remark. We don't want the crime in general or the people of Tuzon in particular to see the gentleman on the witness stand as enemy of the people of Tuzon, of the Doe family, and of the tribal group. He brought the issue out because he felt to be offended. And he wanted to get the clear picture of what happened to this Washington fellow. And it is important that you voice out your anger in order for you to get an appropriate response to what you have said. If it is correct, this is an opportunity for the people of Tuzon, or in particular the Doe family, to come out and tell the commission, whether in camera or public, the real facts concerning this late fellow. One may wonder why this case come out time like this. Doe is no longer alive. Thomas Gwanga is no longer alive. Amos Noga is no more alive. Peter Johnson is no more alive. So they all had gone beyond, great beyond. What the case? Yeah, but each of these people, including Washington, all of them got family, got friends, got sympathizers. This is how conflict is transformed from one generation to another generation. And this is how conflict can degenerate into worse situation. So we want to call upon the family of the late Doe, Samuel Kanyon Doe, the former president of Liberia. We want to call on the people of Tuzon and generally the Crown tribal group. If the Tuzon people, the Doe family is not represented here, it is now the obligation of the Crown ethnic group that is here to take this message to our people in Tuzon so that we can sit down and talk. Interestingly, all the people that he called their name, I knew all of them, I interacted with them, and I think on our way here from Monrovia, I was telling Ambassador Comer, who is also a commissioner about this, Peter Johnson, Ambassador Peter Johnson. So it is about time that we sit down and see how to settle problems like this. This is why the Act of the TRC provides that the commissions should provide a forum where the perpetrators and the victims will sit around conference table to exchange their experiences. Now it is about time. We don't want people to feel that this gentleman has come and disgraced us because, as he said, nobody has come to say, what happened to Wallow? What is the problem? Really, we discovered that this had happened, but let bygone be bygone. Thank you. May God bless you.
Yes, Mr. Boke, if I should ask you, you brought this matter to TRC. How do you think, or how do you believe that the TRC can facilitate a process of reconciliation and healing between the both groups?
Well, I think the only thing we want from our side is to make the people of Tuzon understand that at least somebody is feeling bitter about them. And so they should go to the people to be able to compromise. Yes, that's all we want. And if that is done, we will not have any problem. But if it is not done, it will not go down well with us.
Have you since then tried to raise this issue with prominent citizens of the Tuzon area, especially those in political life, national political life?
Yeah, but these people know. They know. Even during that campaign, they promised that they were going there. They were going to compromise. But they didn't do anything like that. We should be pursuing them to come and talk to us. When you wrong somebody, they should chase you, come talk to me. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Witness, we want to tell you thank you very much for coming up with this information and alerting us that a source of conflict currently brews between your people and people of Tuzon. I want to ask, besides Washington Wallow, several other prominent citizens of this county have passed. Besides, would it be Nibo? Has there been any other case of a living person being buried with a dead person?
Well, that's the reason why I told you right now. They say from Tuzon it was customary, but for we the Grand Gedeh, it's not customary. At the time they were doing it, they say it's supposed to be done to great people. But great people that died never did that before. So maybe probably they got their own personal motives.
Are you related to the late Washington Wallow?
Yeah. Yes.
What's the relationship?
First cousin.
First cousin.
Yes.
I want to express our sympathy. Then the next question is, how did the family receive his death news?
Well, at the time, everybody was living in fear. Samuel Doe administration. People outside of Grand Gedeh felt it. But I can tell we in Grand Gedeh felt it more than anybody else. Can you imagine the young man coming to Grand Gedeh, not passing through the first district we from, flying all the time? Only one time when he was president for 10 years, he traveled by road through our district. But since the execution of the first PRC members from that district, he never passed there again. He only fly to Grand Gedeh. That young man, I tell you, he was more dictatorial than any other president in my life I have ever seen in Liberia. But that is not an issue. But I already want to make a comment right now. Well, what Sheikh just said, we are not deterred. If anybody felt bad about us, because we know for sure we are saying the truth. But this time, all of us, Grand Gedehs, we are toothless bulldogs. We don't have power here to tell anybody, you have to do this, you have to dictate to us. I think we have authority in this country, and nobody can chase us. It will not be like before, in the 80s. And we'll say the truth. If we have any other thing that is sitting right now that we didn't know about, we'll still bring it out.
Which members of the PRC that were executed from?
Harry Johnson from Town. Nelson Toe. Yes, from Town also.
Okay, I'm still interested in pursuing the question I asked. How did the family get to know that
After his disappearance, I mean, he got a family, he got his wife, children, his bedroom. Every morning he would go to work, sleep, the next morning he would come. And he went 3 days, 4 days, they can't see him. I mean, people started getting concerned, thinking he was in our home, his Lair Town, Poor Town. And they give the information that he was not there. People started inquiring. In fact, those that went to ask his other, persons that were working at the time at the mansion, in Tuzon, they were afraid even to give account, because, I mean, it was a crime at the time to give account, to give a real picture of what happened. But thank God, at least the truth came out.
Who was the local police commander at the time?
No, I can't tell you right.
That goes back to 1985.
85.
What were you doing at the time?
1985?
Yeah.
Oh, I was in the 9th grade. I was in the 12th grade. I was in the 12th grade, sorry.
Here or in Monrovia?
Oh, I was in Monrovia.
In the 12th grade?
Yes.
And you were politically sensitive at the time?
Oh, yes. Well, not only because of Washington being my cousin, it could be any other person for that matter. Not from Grand Gedeh, it could be from Nimba, any other place. We'd follow events at the time. Yes. And we are even still concerned about other people who died during his regime. We don't want to be dwelling because we didn't get a story at that time anyway. But if you have the opportunity to express some other feelings about those that were killed during his regime, and at the end of his regime, we will still do. Like Comrade Wutapia and all the guys that were murdered on the bridge 1990.
Where were you in 1990?
I was in Monrovia.
I know we didn't give a statement of that, so I'm not sure.
So we don't want to dwell on that right now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your information and testimony has been very useful to our work, and we appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
If you know, the Constitution of Liberia refers to our customs and tradition, but that we should emphasize the positive attributes of our customs and tradition. And what you just put forth comes across as a negative traditional practice, which claims the attention of the Commission and warrants further probe. So I want to tell you thank you very much for coming and sharing this with us.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Sheikh wants to say something to you.
I'm not getting you, sir.
I said we would like you to give our secretariat your contact address in the event that there is a need of getting you around conference table with those that you have made this accusation against, so that we can contact you. And not only you, maybe through you, the other families, that we all can sit down and see how to wash water on the ground.
All right. Thank you very much. But we did. We gave our contact number, our address and everything to the first group that came to interview us.
Yeah.
So you can use that document to locate us, to trace us anyway.
Okay.
Meaning that your address and contacts haven't changed?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.